Afternoon, I'm Karen Larson. Right now, city officials are gathering. They're going to give another update on the efforts to respond after this major storm from Saturday night. They're lined up right now, waiting to give us the updates. Let's go to Tulsa City Hall live now for the latest from Mayor Bynum.
Good to go? All right. Thank you. I'm G.T. Bynum, Mayor of the City of Tulsa. As we have the last few times, we know a lot of folks that want to keep up to date on this news may not have access to power. So if you're watching this on your phone right now, feel free to turn it off. You don't have to stay on and follow the whole news feed. We will summarize all the necessary information and put it out in about an hour on the City of Tulsa's social media channels, and we have representatives from all our local media outlets here who I know will be reporting on it as well. So don't feel like you have to watch the whole thing. First today, I'm really honored that we're joined by State Senate President Pro Tem and our acting governor, Greg Treat. As you all recall from yesterday, Senator Treat, as acting governor, signed the declaration of emergency, which for Tulsa County, which will now really allow us to move forward at a much faster pace on the cleanup from this disaster. As I said yesterday, and I'm thankful to say to him today in person how grateful our community is that he did not hesitate to act when given the opportunity to do so. Tulsans are going to see recovery happen a lot faster because Senator Treat did not hesitate to act. He's been here today surveying the damage himself. And he, as I mentioned yesterday, he was here over the weekend and saw it firsthand. But it means a lot to our community that we're not in his state Senate district, but he is here as the leader of the Oklahoma State Senate and as our acting governor right now. And it means a lot to the community that he would come here and want to see this firsthand. I had a lot of questions yesterday about just the technical aspects of the declaration of emergency. I will say, and we've covered those pretty thoroughly as far as what that opens up for us. But there is also, as there is a lot of the time with leadership, there's another side to that coin. I think Tulsans, when hundreds of thousands of Tulsans are without power, when we're under a heat alert, when we've been hit by a terrible natural disaster that was likened today to Tulsa being hit by a hurricane, there's a sense of wanting to know that the state government cares, that they are here to stand with us in this moment of challenge. And it means a lot that Senator Treat, on behalf of that state government, conveyed that by signing that declaration yesterday as soon as he could, and that he's here today. We're also joined earlier today by the State Speaker of the House, Charles McCall, who came by just to make sure that we know in our emergency operations team that anything that we need from the state government, that he's here to help. So those things seem perhaps superficial, but when you're doing everything you can to help a community recover from a massive natural disaster, it means a lot to have leaders who show up and who care. So I want to thank both of them. Yesterday, we talked about the program that we have for folks who need to have their homes electrified, and that PSO is working in all parts of the city to restore power on the main lines. But if the line running from the main power line to your house, where it goes into your house is called the weatherhead. That's a technical term. But if the weatherhead is damaged, you are responsible for getting that repaired. PSO is not going to fix that for you. And because that where electricity integrates with your home can be a great fire hazard, as Chief Baker has talked about, that being a concern for the Tulsa Fire Department, it's important that it's fixed the right way. And so, one, we want all Tulsans, if your weatherhead is damaged, to go ahead and contact an electrician who can come and do that work at your home. But then it also has to be permitted and inspected by the city. Yesterday, we announced we're going to discount the cost of that inspection and that permit. Today, I want to announce we're going to waive it entirely. We know that folks have enough to deal with in trying to get your homes and your power back on. We want you to know the city of Tulsa is here to help get that expedited as quickly as possible. Our development services team will turn that around in one day. And so they're here just to make sure that it's done safely and correct, so that when the power does come back onto your house, it doesn't start a fire and you'll be safe there. So again, we're announcing that fee for this storm event will be waived. I also have some great news. You talk about the importance of knowing that people outside of Tulsa care about our community and want to help. Talked about the state government, have some great news thanks to our tribal partners today. One of the great needs that we've heard about from citizens is a need for ice. And I'm really grateful to announce today that starting tomorrow, because of the coordinated efforts of the Choctaw Nation, we will have ice available for residents. And that'll start at Church on the Move as a distribution site. That's at 1003 North 129th East Avenue here in Tulsa. It'll be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or just whenever they run out of ice, whichever comes first. But I just want to say to the team at the Choctaw Nation how grateful we are for them reaching out and offering this means of assistance to our community, and to the team at Church on the Move for hosting a coordination site on their campus. We are continuing to see a heavy demand at our Greenway site over at East Latimer Place and North 89th East Avenue. I would just ask everybody be patient while you're going there. As you can imagine, in a storm with this amount of debris, there's a strong demand for the use of that site. But please just be patient. It's going to be open. It's going to continue to be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then, as I mentioned before, we're working through a residential pickup program where the yard waste that you can bundle into 5-foot bundles and put it at your curb on your own will be picked up. I've also had a lot of questions from folks. Well, what about massive trees that were blocking the street that got chopped up and moved over? Are we expected to go out and try and move that stuff around? No. The city of Tulsa will also be sending crews around down every street to look for that type of debris, and they will take care of that. You don't need to worry about trying to move massive trees. As was said at today's city council meeting, Joe Kralichek, the leader at Tulsa Area Emergency Management Agency, made a really good point about the difference between the ice storm of 2007 and this storm. The ice storm of 2007, you were talking about limbs and stuff like that was fairly easy to move. This storm, you're talking about entire trees that can be massive and extremely heavy. And so we don't expect folks to try and move that on your own. We will have crews going out to take care of that. Lastly, speaking of which, I just, again, for our crews at the city, for the PSO crews, for everybody that's out there working, I hope they know how much this city appreciates their work. I've loved seeing the stuff coming up on social media and around town from folks who are expressing their thanks for these crews. A lot of them are working away from home. A lot of them who live here are working and then going back to homes that don't have power, but they are out there working around the clock, 24 hours a day, to get power restored in our community and Tulsa up and running as quickly as we can. And so I'm just very grateful for them on behalf of all my fellow Tulsans. And now it's an honor for me to introduce my friend, our State Senate President Pro Tem and our Acting Governor, Greg Treat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bynum. I appreciate the leadership you have provided through this storm and throughout your tenure here as mayor of Tulsa. I grew up in Tulsa and was there visiting with family, driving back on Monday, and saw some of the devastation firsthand. But today, because of Mayor Bynum and his team, I was able to see more of it up close. Got to go see some of the incident center, saw some of the command center with PSO, the operations here with Tulsa, visit with the emergency management team here, and try to coordinate some communications between Mark Gower, the director, and he's got a staff member here as well, to try to make sure there's seamless communication between our efforts. I reached out to Mark and tried to make sure that we were on track with the federal assistance and the application there, and was able to send some messages back to Mayor Bynum. But I'm happy to play a small role here in the days that I'm acting as governor, but also continue. I want Tulsa to know that as the Senate President Pro Tem, that the legislature stands ready to help in any way that we can going forward. I've seen just the magnitude and the depth of the damage. When I was leaving Tulsa on Monday, I saw people carrying 6 or 7 bags of ice out of the quick trip I stopped at just to get a Coke Zero, to be honest with you. And that's when the magnitude really hit me, that people were desperate to be able to protect their food, protect their medicine. And I want to commend the leadership from the police department to the fire department to the mayor here, the emergency management, and the communities all around Tulsa that suffered the same loss. Going through Tulsa, I saw how many street lights are still out, and encourage people to be safe as they're getting around town, and encourage people to continue to help their neighbors. The state of Oklahoma does care. Tulsa is an integral part of our state, and we care deeply about it. I care deeply, and I will do everything I can. Been in communication with Senators Lankford, Senator Mullen, and also with our tribal leaders and Congressman Hearn. So the state of Oklahoma stands ready to help. I'm glad to be here today to be able to see it firsthand. We stand unified with Mayor Bynum and his team here to do all we can to help you all recover through the duration. It's my honor to turn it over to Commissioner Dunkerley.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Treat and Mayor Bynum. I'm Kelly Dunkerley, County Commissioner, District 3, just here to give you a brief update on things in the county. For sure, the city of Tulsa, Midtown area, suffered the greatest damage in this disaster. So our hearts go out to all the people that are affected, especially in Midtown. But I want to say also damage was widespread, all the way to the north in Collinsville, down to the south in Bixby and Glenpool. So it spread around everywhere. But I do want to circle back and say a big thank you. I've been working with City of Tulsa officials, Mayor Bynum. They've been seamless with the county. They've been supportive with the county. We've been supportive with them. And the amount of synergy that we have and the teamwork and the staffs working together has been tremendous. That's what it takes to pull a community like this through a disaster like this. And I also want to count the other mayors and city councils, city managers from all over the county. They're all pulling together. Everyone's had long hours. All the response teams, the first responders have been out there. So we're shoulder to shoulder as local leaders, local municipalities, trying to help all the people that we can. But I also want to have a shout out to our state leaders. Senate Pro Tem Treat is here. He's been here before. He's working with other state leaders. It is a unified effort. I've been in communication with Congressman Hearn. We have leadership from top to bottom, federal, state, local, county, municipalities, all pulling together. PSO is a group, and the other electrical professionals are really doing a job that we can be proud of. That job is 24/7, and they're working and doing everything they can do to restore power. We all know that power is the key. It's the key to getting us back to normal. Just real quick, from a county perspective, I can tell you that our road crews have cleared all the county roads. That was a big job, but We got it done. There's a few exceptions when there's power lines that are also across the roads, but that job is done, and we're moving on to other jobs. As far as cooling stations, we still have several that are open. They will continue to be open. O'Brien Park in the north, South County in the south, and Glenpool, as well as social services off of Charles Page Boulevard east of downtown. So again, thank you to Mayor Bynum. Thank you to President Pro Tem and Acting Governor Treat for signing the Declaration of Emergency Management request that allows us all to move forward in a way that we have a lot more confidence, and we know that local budgets will not be constrained, will not be suffering as big a hit as they would otherwise. That's called teamwork, and I applaud that effort. So I'm going to turn it over to Wayne Green from PSO, and he can give us a few more details about the electrical.
Good afternoon. I think I promised you yesterday that we'd be making some good progress today, and I think I can report back positively on that right now. Yesterday we were at 127,000 customers out. As we stand here today, we are less than 92,000 customers out. We've restored 35,000 customers today. We've restored a total of 112,000 customers since the beginning of the storm. Now, unfortunately, we had a setback today when the weather came back in on us. You can't have people in bucket trucks when there's lightning in the air, when there's high winds. That slowed us down a little bit, and our numbers actually bumped up a little bit there, but we're making good progress again, and we expect to do even better tomorrow. The proper number of outages at any time is 0, and we've got a small army of foresters, line workers, and other frontline workers who will continue on the job until we reach that number. Thank you. Chief Baker.
Good afternoon. As Wayne mentioned, the Tulsa Fire Department also experienced a little surge in activity this afternoon. The brief storm that passed through town created a spike in both our power line down responses, transformer calls as well, basically primarily due to the wind gusts that came through. And so we did see a rise in those kind of responses, and we'll have some numbers later on that. Three real important points of fire department operations. Over the length of the event, Tulsa Fire Department up till 3 o'clock this afternoon has had a total of 2,060 responses. So if you look at that, we generally run 150 to 200 a day. So we're significantly busy, along with our response partners at EMSA, who have had record-breaking transport and response volumes in our EMS system as well. Today, they've had 216 total responses with 150 transports up until this afternoon's briefing. Our structure fire numbers for the fire department are increasing as well. We had an additional 7 since this briefing yesterday afternoon. We expect that those will continue to be of concern for the department. Again, medical emergencies remain to be a significant impact, and as the heat begins to be a challenge over the next few days and into the weekend, we are going to ask that folks continue to take heat precautions. So first, most importantly, continue to stay hydrated as best you can. If your body is allowed to take hydration drinks, those that replenish electrolytes into your body, you should consume some of those in addition to water. It's not just all or either. You can alternate those as you want. If you are in a situation where you have no air conditioning and you're in a warm environment, I'm going to assume you're wearing loose clothing at this point in time, but you should wear loose clothing and nothing that constricts on the body. Utilize cooling stations. That is the number one thing that we have noted within the department is as Joe Kralichek will tell you that folks are going to those stations, and we appreciate that as well. Fire crews are out there supplementing our emergency medical response and have transported several folks to cooling stations. So to prevent heat-related illness, please take advantage of those stations. And so if you have to work, reduce your exertion and the exposure that you're out in the working, take frequent breaks. Again, we're going to have the comment to check on your neighbors. That was not a one-time request. That is a multiple time per day request, especially, again, as we begin to go into a hot day. Finally, open burning. When we talked about that yesterday, we were receiving a lot of questions about open burns within the city and what constitutes a proper way. Open burning of material that have come off damaged trees and lines are not authorized to be burned in your yard. There's no burning. We are not in a condition that at all at any time within the city that you can do that. So we will have code enforcement officers out there providing public education, and we will issue citations as required. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tulsa Police Chief Wendell Franklin.
Thanks, Michael. I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm going to repeat pretty much the same thing that I talked about yesterday. What we're seeing out is driving behaviors of people being aggressive. And we need you to slow down. We need you to follow the rules of the road. And our largest concern are those intersections. Those intersections that may have power or may have flashing lights or don't have any lights at all. You have to stop. You have to come to a complete stop and maneuver safely through that intersection. We have a number of unnecessary collisions that are occurring out there because people are being too aggressive. You cannot go in tandem across those intersections, meaning the car in front of you starts, you can't go with that car. You have to stop, come to a complete stop, and let the next flow across those lanes take place before you can proceed into that intersection. We've been nice the last several days, but we are going to ratchet things up from a enforcement standpoint. Our traffic units and our motorcycles are going to be issuing citations. They are going to issue citations if you violate those rules of the road. We have got to maintain safety. We have to maintain order. And if that means the only way that we can get you to comply is through a citation, we are going to start issuing citations for that. Remember, give emergency workers and emergency personnel the road when they are coming through with their flashing lights, red and blues. Pull over to the right and allow those emergency vehicles to pass safely through intersections and through traffic. Also, make sure that there are a number of bucket trucks out there on the roadways. Make sure that you're paying attention to the road. Make sure that you're not multitasking and on a cell phone. Shooting a selfie or whatever. We need you to be focused on the road because there are bucket trucks out there as line workers are trying to restore power. And we also have a number of bucket trucks out there at the intersections trying to get the traffic signals working. So be mindful, pay attention. We're going to continue with what we've done the last several nights, with an increase in our personnel working through the overnight period until power is restored. We're going to continue to focus on anyone that is out there looking to take advantage and burglarize businesses. We did not have any major reported burglaries last night, but we did at 8 o'clock this morning. When we made an arrest at a cell phone store for an individual that broke into that store during daylight hours and attempted to steal product. I want to talk about scammers. I talked about scammers yesterday. If people are coming to your door, and they are out there because we're getting reports of it, if they are out there knocking on your door attempting to do work for you, that's going to be on you if you say, yes, do work for me. We don't recommend that. We recommend that you look in the online, talk to your neighbors, and find a reputable person to do the work that you need done. As the mayor mentioned, they have waived fees So no one should be charging you absorbent fees for doing work. And I've also heard that there are individuals out there volunteering, going door to door, saying that they will remove debris, but then they follow that up, knocking on the door after they've done the work and said, give me $1,000. Be mindful of that. Again, there are people out there trying to take advantage of you. If you encounter any of this, if you encounter someone on your property that will not leave, call us and we will respond out there. Also, we want all this crime reported. All of this crime is information that we use to be able to better provide you with what we need in the community. And so I understand if you think, well, I'll never get that back, we still need to know about it, because that helps us understand what type of crimes that we're dealing with in the community. You can report a crime online at tulsapolice.org. You can also call our non-emergency number, 918-596-9222, and that number will get you transferred to a telephone reporting officer. They may not call you back that instant, but you will be on a waiting list to be called to have a report taken. We're making progress. We're doing well. We haven't seen any widespread crime issues, but we want to keep it that way, and so we'll be here for you. I forgot who's next. Oh, Joe Tima.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Krolichek. I'm the director of the Tulsa Area Emergency Management Agency. As we wrap up the fourth day of this event, we are starting to see a lot of progress on getting power back on. We're making good progress and inroads in towards debris and completing up our damage assessments. And so we're really starting to focus and look at the human needs that are being impacted by this event. After 4 days with no power, you're seeing a lot of folks who may not be having enough food remaining because they've had to throw out food due to spoilage. And so we've reached out to bring our volunteer organizations that are active in disaster, or VOADs, to the table to help provide additional assistance to those impacted in the community. And so over the next several days, you'll begin seeing volunteer organizations entering into the area, everybody from additional Red Cross teams that were there to provide assistance at shelters and cooling stations, to chainsaw teams with groups such as Team Rubicon, the Baptist Men's Disaster Relief Fund, Samaritan's Purse, and other reputable service organizations that are working through the Emergency Operations Center and through the Oklahoma VOAD organization. And so we'll be working on getting out into the community and helping address those issues as they come up. We've also been putting in and working with the Community Food Bank to address any sort of food issues and looking at additional ways to help get food to those who are in need. Thanks to the state disaster declaration, the Oklahoma Health Department has issued additional emergency SNAP benefits for those who might be suffering food loss. If you have suffered food loss as a result of this disaster, you need to reach out to the Oklahoma Health and Human Services Department and request additional SNAP assistance, and they'll be ready to provide that for you. And so as the time goes along, we want to make sure that everybody is taking advantage of those opportunities that are out there. Take advantage of the cooling stations. If you have power and you have friends who don't, do the neighborly thing. Invite your friends over to come stay with you while you have power. If you don't have power and somebody invites you, do the smart thing and take advantage of that opportunity. Everybody's going to get through this together as long as we remain neighborly and help one another. And so over the next couple of days, you'll start seeing those helpers that I talked about earlier moving through the community. And we're going to need to continue to help one another throughout this. We need to remember this is a marathon, not a sprint. Even once the power is back on, we're going to have a tremendous amount of debris to deal with, and you're going to see tremendous amounts of different groups and organizations church groups coming through. And so we want to remind you to be extra cautious and extra careful in dealing with anybody who might be coming to your door, making sure they're with a reputable and recognized organization, and that you are being extra cautious when you're working out in the field, out in your yard with chainsaws or around anybody who might be working heavy equipment. And with that, we'll go ahead and open up for questions. Thank you.
We are streaming live. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll come around with the microphone and address your question to a speaker. Randy, start here. Microphone.
Oh, sorry. So, Senator Treat, the Attorney General, I guess, has said that maybe there needs to be more communication amongst folks when somebody's leaving the state. Would you have anything to say about that?
Yes, traditionally, at least since I've been involved in state government, it's just been the tradition and the practice to be notified by the governor and lieutenant governor on departure. We need to double down on that because that's not been happening this past year. I agree with the Attorney General and look forward to finding solutions. It's just a matter of communication, really.
Yes, Senator Treat, are there any ways the legislature could help Tulsa, and how likely are they to act?
Well, you know, we are in special session right now with a call that's limited to 3 points. One of those is budget related. We are set to expire at the end of June, although the House passed a resolution to extend us through July that we will be considering on Monday at 10 a.m. when we meet in the Oklahoma Senate. I could see if we need to put more money in the Emergency Management Fund to be able to create those matching funds. Typically what happens in these disaster areas, the local match is about 25%. Historically in Oklahoma, about 12.5 has come from the locality, about 12.5 from the state. I would expect the same in this disaster, but we have not talked numbers yet. I will tell you as the leader of the Senate, in that capacity, we stand ready to appropriate whatever money is necessary to be able to help expedite the recovery.
Next question.
Thank you.
Hi, mine's for the PSO. Did the storm today, I mean, you said that it caused a little bit of a setback. Did it cause any more outages? And can you give us any more idea of a more accurate restoration time? I mean, I know that you guys were saying Saturday originally at the start of the week. Is there a more accurate idea on that?
Yeah, the storm did bump our numbers up slightly, but we've made a good recovery from that, and we're well beyond where we were prior to the storms. Again, we have fewer than 92,000 customers out, most of those in the metropolitan Tulsa area. And it's worth repeating what the mayor said earlier. We have crews out in all 4 quadrants of the city. We're everywhere all at once. We're doing everything we can for all of our customers. I'm sorry, what was the second half of your question?
It was, do you have any more of an accurate restoration?
Yes. Yeah, last night, I believe 69. Last night we posted updated estimated times of restoration on 69 of the circuits in the metropolitan Tulsa area, and we continue to update estimated times of restorations elsewhere as that information becomes available.
Any other questions? Okay. Oh, one more. One here, Alan. Yeah.
So you said that the city's waiving the permit. What if someone bought the permit yesterday?
So that's a great question. So we actually have had several people who, even before we discounted it, had gone ahead and gotten the permit. And our development services team has flagged those and is working to get a refund to those folks. So anybody that has already paid for that permit, they will be getting refunded.
Any last questions? Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Sweet. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
You've been watching live as Tulsa city, county, and state leaders bring us all up to date on the storm response and recovery efforts to bring us all back online with power and get back to our normal lives after Saturday night storms. Mayor G.T. Bynum reminding folks that if you do have a damaged weatherhead, normally that would cost $93 to have the permit and inspection. Now they're going to waive that cost, so that is good news. Free ice is coming in starting tomorrow at Church on the Move. removed courtesy of the Choctaw Nation. Also, the Greenway sites, they're very, very busy right now. So if you want to stack 5-foot bundles at the curb of your home, you can wait for later recovery efforts from the city. They'll be working on those plans as well. The State Senate President Pro Tem and the current acting governor of Oklahoma saying that the state stands ready. They will appropriate whatever funds are needed to expedite our recovery. But the best news, I think, had to come from PSO. They're Wayne Green saying that they have already restored power to 112,000 customers from PSO. A little bit of a bump back up with this afternoon's storms. However, I just checked the numbers for you, and they're at 87,023 customers without power. So far.
Let me take a seat.